Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a motorcycle racing TV show, Team Chicago Challenge. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com. My website, teamchicago.tv. Back in 1999, Steve Karson and I took on the WERA National Endurance Series. The second race of the series was Gingerman. Gingerman's a track in Michigan. It was built in the 90s. In fact, the first time they raced anything at Gingerman, it was a motorcycle race, and I was there. So both Steve and I were familiar with the racetrack. But we ran into a little bit of problem. We only finished 5th overall in the race, but we still came out of there leading Middleweight SuperStock with our win in Talladega. And how we did it, Gingerman, we still had the point lead in Middleweight SuperStock, and we were still in the top 10 overall with WERA. So let's check out the action. Gingerman Raceway in Michigan. Let's see how Team Chicago does.
It was just one of them things. We had to start in the rain. They couldn't delay it. And that's what the National Endurance Series with WERA is all about. Rain or shine, we race, we start on time. 6-hour National Endurance. Well, let's go check out and see exactly how bad it was yesterday to start this race. And let's see how Team Chicago does at this National Endurance from Gingerman with WERA.
And if you're on the east side of Lake Michigan, no matter what the weather is elsewhere, if it looks like rain, the potential for rain is always great. We're only 5 miles from the lake, South Haven, Michigan, and it is raining. As the 5-minute board comes out, number 4 is Tapeworks. The teams are now starting their warm-up lap. Rain tires with WERA. You are allowed to run rain tires whether you run Superbike class or SuperStock class. As we watch Arclight Racing, the team out of San Francisco. Steve Karson's going to start on the Team Chicago YZF. Brian Healy's on that Leaning Lizard Racing Kawasaki 600, number 71. Neighbor of the Beast on a 600 Suzuki, except this week they're running heavyweight SuperStock. They come back to the grid to prepare for the start of the 6-hour National Endurance. Seems like nobody wants to start 1-minute board. Sideways, there's the start. The riders take it nice and easy into the first corner. Here's a bike that did not make it to the grid. They'll have to start from the pit lane once the riders have cleared. Shoot over to the other side of the track, coming out of turn 3. Semoff Brothers Racing's up front with Glenn Zera. Arclight is second. And Steve Karson on the Team Chicago YZF 600 is in 3rd place. As we see the teams funnel into turn 4. Went by is Glenn Seraph. Arclight. Steve Karson. Carlisle. Tapeworks. Semoff Brothers Racing is really starting to stretch the lead. Steve Karson is doing well. And drop back to 4th. Got a couple riders behind them. but Glenn Zarek is really stretching the lead. This guy is really going fast. Steve Karson on the Team Chicago YZF 4 and 6 prepared Dunlop AirTech Torco Racing Oil, Regina EBC Moose Factory. Yamaha is really running great, but Steve loves to race in the rain. He's had some good finishes in the rain. Uh-oh. The Arclight has went off the track. Steve Karson's back up to 5th now. He takes it easy, but he's starting to get away from the pack. And with the rain coming down, Semoff's up front. Looking good out there is Paramount, Carlisle, Ray C on their 600 Yamaha. They're running good. KRG, Leaning Lizards, Psycho Speed Racing, Army of Darkness, and Arclight Suzuki. And the Team Chicago bike running 5th. As the teams sort themselves out. And before this race, I had a chance to talk to one of the riders from that Leaning Lizard Kawasaki Kirstein's team.
I'm here with Tracy Scheidler from Kirstein's Yamaha, Kawasaki, Harley Davidson, and Excelsior Henderson. And in fact, you're the Japanese chief mechanic there. You do the Kawasaki's and the Yamahas, and you're in charge of those motorcycles, correct?
Yes.
And you picked up a deal with Team Kawasaki or Team Green. You're an official Team Green team. You and your partner are running the entire National Endurance Series. You're running Middleweight Superbike. And so far, how's that Kawasaki working out for you?
Working out real well. We had to do some suspension adjustments on them and stuff like that. But other than that, the bike's got good power, runs real well. We're real happy with it right now.
Any other sponsors that you guys have picked up?
Well, we have Kirstein's, and then Brian, my partner, has Thiel's wheels, and we got Bridgestone tires, Elf lubricants, Ferodo brakes, and the Vance and leathers, Renthal sprockets. I got to get Sherry in there. She feel left out. And there's a list of others.
Yeah, well, you put together a pretty good package over the winter to do this National Endurance Series, and this is your first year doing this endurance, correct?
Correct. I've been doing sprint races for the last 5 years, and me and Brian got together and we submitted our resume to Team Green Kawasaki and Cole Gress out there, and he set us up with a set of bikes, and we're running this endurance series with my bike, and Brian's going to be sprinting his bike.
So what do you think so far? I mean, I know you guys see me on TV doing the endurance, and you know I'm having big fun, so do you think this may be more fun than running sprint races?
Brian likes to sprint, but he likes the endurance too, especially if it's in the rain. I like the endurance. Right now I'm really liking it a lot, and I'm looking forward to running the rest of the season.
And you're going to be doing that 24-hour out in Willow. We should mention that, right?
Yeah, we're going to try and do the 24-hour. I'll have to talk it over with the shop first to see if I can get the time off.
Time off and the riders. I mean, I've got people sending me wanting to ride, and I'm telling them, well, you're going to have to cover some of the expenses, because that is going to be an expensive event.
Yes, it's definitely going to be a very expensive event. Take a lot of time off, but it will be a good and thrilling ride out there at Willow Springs.
Definitely be an experience of a lifetime.
Yes, definitely. Looking forward to possibly going out there.
Okay. Well, it's always great talking to you. And where's my R6? I'm getting my R6 out of their shop. In fact, I hope by the next show we'll be uncrating the R6 at Kirstein. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I've been waiting for it to come in so I can call you and have you come and get it so we can get it set up for you so you can start running it.
Right. Okay, well, thanks again for everything, and we'll be watching these guys during 1999 and see how they finish at the end of the year as we run the National Endurance Series with WERA.
Let's come back to the racing action. During that first hour, Semoff Brother with Glenn Zarek's up front, and at 1000 Yamaha, Arai EBC Motul Sprocket Specialist. Whoa! Number 3, that's Firestorm Racing, and at 600 Suzuki goes down. Paramount Racing on that 750 Suzuki's running second. Carlisle Racing on 1000 Yamahas running third. Race C, number 44. And that's Fritz Kling, famous Fritz Kling from Michigan, and Dave Knapp. And that Race C Psycho, Dave Knapp used cars, 600 R6 is running right up there. For these guys, number 4, Tapeworks on that 600 Suzuki, they're having crash problems. As we see Arclight come in, Arclight is having their own problems as we see the number 1 team flashing by. That Arclight Suzuki from California on that Suzuki Pirelli Motion Pro, and they're having their own problems. Army of Darkness fires up. They're having a great race out there as we get into the 3rd hour. Switching riders. They're moving nice and smooth, no crashes. Tapeworks is having big problems out there, crashing their bike. This is really gonna hurt them in the long run as they load their bike up. Semoff is coming back in the pits. They've got about an 8-lap lead as Glenn Zurich shuts off the engine, gets ready for their pit stop. Scott Brown is gonna get on. Coming down the front straightaway is Army of Darkness. Phil Young is on the Team Chicago YZF. We had a problem with a crash. We lost about 20 minutes in the pit. Steve dropped it after riding so great as Scott Brown starts off on that Semoff Brothers Racing. Glenn Zurich takes off his helmet. He has been the man in the rain out here at Gingerman. Carlisle Racing's running 3rd. Leaning Lizards running 4th. Army of Darkness 5th as we watch Phil Young on the Team Chicago YZF. 26 is KRG Racing, and they're running in 7th place. And I start to notice a dry line is starting to develop as we watch Penn State Racing, number 85, and they've had their crash problems. So I decide, let's pull the bike back in and go with the DOT Dunlop tires. So as I get a crew together, let's check out this pit stop. Steve got a couple other crew members from the other teams that are pitted with us as we get ready to change both tires. And let's check this out and see what a pit stop. Now, that's our bike. We're running super stock, so we can't do all the trick modifications. We get the work stand up in the front. In the meantime, in back, Mark Young and myself are taking care of the rear wheel. Get the chain off the sprocket. Phil Young has grabbed the DOT 207 Dunlop tire. Up front is still Semoff Brothers Racing, and they've got 13 laps over Arclight. Number 2, Race C's with Fritz Kling and Dave Knapp are running in 2nd place in that 600 Yamaha. KRG 5th, Yamaha Canada's running 7th. Number 77 is Psycho Speed Racing. They're running in 9th place. Army of Darkness, number 99, is running in 4th place. 71 is Leaning Lizard, and they're running in 6th place. Can't make any trick provision for changing the tire, but I'm going to look at this front end, see if we could do something that is legal with the WERA rule books, and yet we'll still be able to change that front tire a little quicker. Steve Karson and Mark Young putting the clip in. You gotta have clips. Tires changed up front. We're over 2 minutes. Still not bad when you consider we're running super stock. This is a legal super stock bike. Phil Young and Steve Karson are readjusting the clutch. Gotta get that R clip in. Steve Carson's ready to roll. I reach over, get that last clip in place. And Steve Karson heads out to do battle, and we've got to catch up. 71 is Leaning Lizard. I think that's Tracy Scheidler, who's out on Leaning Lizard. Kawasaki, Kirstein's Team Green. His Army of Darkness is running a perfect race in 4th place on that 600 Suzuki. The Semoff Brothers is really stretching. They are by far the fastest team on the track. Nice and smooth. As the track dries out, they just got faster. And Steve Karson is turning into 38s right now, 138, really making time out there on the track, passing people on that Yamaha dealers, 4 and 6 prepared, race tire service Dunlop, 600 Yamaha. This is the 98 model as we wait for that R6 to give us a little more horsepower, but Steve Karson's looking great out there. 194. It's American Asphalt Racing on that 600 R6. And they're running in 9th place. Here comes Fritz Klein and that Race C's. Dave Knapp, used cars, 600 Yamaha R6. I tell you, Fritz Klein is by far one of the fastest riders in Michigan and in the country. And these guys are flat flying on this super stock Yamaha as he gives everybody a lesson the fast way around here on a 600. Steve Karson made up time. We're now in 16th place. Watch Leaning Lizard. They're back in the pits, making a pit stop. They're sponsored by Kawasaki Team Green, Theo's Wheels, Kirstein Cycle, AGV, Bridgestone, Alpine Star Factory, Ferodo, Beasley Fiberglass, Elf, Race Tech, Renthal, Arcade Chain, Fanson. As we see Steve Karson working his way through traffic. I tell you, he is riding absolutely perfect. He's having big fun now that we changed the tires. And he's going to be heading back into the pits so that I can take over. And as I head out onto the racetrack, coming out of the pits, the track is drying out. And Steve Karson has moved us up to 16th place. And it's up to me, Phil, and Steve to bring this baby home. Come through the carousel and head out to the back section of Gingerman Raceway. Got this sweeping right-hander that leads into the S's. 21, that's Yamaha Canada Cycle World. As I make my way through traffic, in the 4th hour, Semoff Brothers Racing is up front leading. Army of Darkness, number 99, is running in 4th place. Coming out of the pits now is Leaning Lizard Racing, and they're in 6th place. This Kawasaki, sponsored by Kirstein's Kawasaki in North Judson. The teams have picked up the pace. Carlisle, they had a little bit of a problem, but they're running in 8th place on that 1000 R1 Yamaha. Number 8 is 1-800 Crotch Rocket, and they're running in 10th place on that 750 Suzuki. Ray C is running in 2nd place. It's Fritz Klein and Dave Knapp on that 600 R6 Yamaha, and they're running a nice smooth race. Up in front of me is Neighbor of the Beast. That's like Melissa Burkhoff. And they're on that Angel Drawer, ADD, Sam Fleming, Hasegren Racing Engine, Love It Racing Group, Michelin, Walt Schaefer Cycle Supply, 600 Suzuki. But they're running in heavyweight super stock for some reason at this track. I don't know how that fits into the points scheme. But as we get into the 5th hour out here at Gingerman for the 6-hour National Endurance, the track is starting to dry out. The weather's starting to look good after 3 hours of running in the rain. And Team Chicago is in 16th place. We've made up for some of the deficits, losing 20 minutes during that 1st hour with a minor fall. As we get into the 5th hour, Semoff Brothers still up front. Arclight, who's now in the pits, number 2, in for a tire change. Phil Young is now on the Team Chicago YZF 600 Yamaha, but that Arclight Suzuki is in the pits. They're running in second place. They've made a great charge to the front on that Suzuki, Pirelli, Motion Pro, Yoshimura Factory, EBC, Silkeling, Fox, Biafri. Oh no, looks like Leaning Lizard is tangled with Tapeworks, and Tapeworks has gone down again. Now, who's riding on Leaning Lizard? I think that's Tracy Scheidler. Leaning Lizard, sponsored by Team Green, Kawasaki, Theo's Wheels, Kirstein Cycle, AGV, Bridgestone, Alpine Star Factory, Ferodo, Beasley Fiberglass, Elf, Race Tech, Renthal, and making a quick pit stop and really flying, running in third place is Army of Darkness. These guys are doing great. Army of Darkness, sponsored by Williams Consultant, Tower Analysis, Performance Development, Michelin, M4 Exhaust, Badley Cycle, Hendon Cycle Sport, Polly's Cafe. His neighbor, the Beast, is running a good, solid race. As they come by the front straightaway, they're running in 12th place. Tapeworks is back in. These guys have had a major disaster. Tapeworks, and a Tapework Graphic, Pirelli, Maxim Oil, Kirker, DB Brakes, Sharpskin, PBI Sprocket, Lockhart Phillips. As Phil Young now brings the Team Chicago YZF back into the pits. We're getting into the last hour. He's going to switch off and let Steve Karson take the Team Chicago YZF out again. As Steve waits patiently. Yeah, we're not using much fuel. Looks like this is a non-fuel stop. Steve gets on. We're 2 laps down from the team right in front of us. We have moved into about 15th place, I think. And we're 2 laps down from Apache Racing. 22 is Nielsen Racing, but Semoff Brothers is leading. They have got 10 laps over everybody as we get in this last hour. Semoff Brothers Racing, number 1 on that R1 Yamaha. They're having a great race with Glenn Zurich and Scott Brown. 71 Leaning Lizard has dropped back to 11th place on that Team Green Kawasaki, but they're in second place. Middleweight Superbike, Yamaha Canada, Cycle World 21, they're running in 7th place on that R6 Yamaha. They're having a great race. Steve Karson is in the low 30s on the Team Chicago YZF Yamaha. And we're moved up to 15th place, trying to reclaim some of our mistakes. 77 is Psycho Speed Racing, another Canadian team, and they're in 9th place in that 1000 R1. But that Race C's has dropped down to 5th place on that R6, but they are leading in Middleweight SuperStock as we come towards the end and getting a checkered flag to end this 6 hour as Semoff Brothers, their team, cheers them to their victory. They won by 12 laps. Steve Karson made a valiant charge, and we at least got in the standings, and we are leading in Middleweight Superstock. But after 6 hours, it's Semoff, Arclight, Army of Darkness, Carlisle, Race C's, Crotch Rocket, Yamaha Canic, American Asphalt Racing, Psycho Speed Racing, and Paramount Racing. Leaning Lizard is in 11th, and Grif Allen is going to wrap this whole thing up for us.
Wrapping up the second endurance race of WERA's 1999 season here at Gingerman Raceway. Boy, I'll tell you something, a lot of stories to tell. Now, at the first one in Talladega, it was Arclight Suzuki. They were able to prevail over the number 1 plate team of SBR Racing, the champions from last year. However, we started in the wet here this weekend at Gingerman, and boy, I'll tell you something, it was Glenn Zarek on the #1 SBR entry. A lot of wisdom to put him on that bike. He was able to drive turn 1 much deeper and much faster than every other rider. That was the key. That was the advantage. That's why SBR was able to get 12 laps on Arclight Suzuki before it dried out and before they had a rider change. From there on out, there just simply wasn't enough time for Arclight to catch up. So with about 16 minutes remaining, by a factor of the math, it was SBR Racing who capitalized on the victory here this weekend at Gingerman. Now, maybe the story of the day, an interesting one at least, is the statistics. Now, out of about 26 teams, 6 went the entire 6 hours without crashing. In fact, one team, Tapeworks Racing, out of Raleigh, North Carolina, brought 4 bikes, crashed each one of those, and then threw in 2 more crashes just for good measure. An exciting race. I'll tell you something, a lot of teams demonstrated wisdom, patience, and perseverance in the wet conditions and showed that it really are those skills that matter sometimes more than horsepower, Dan.
Thank you, Grif. And for more information on Gingerman Raceway, it's gingermanraceway.com. On Facebook, it's Gingerman Raceway. To get a hold of Western Eastern Road Race Association, it's WERA.com. On Facebook, it's WERA.roadracing. To contact me, and I'd love to hear from my audience, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. Remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action, Dan Schmitt Politics, to learn what makes America great. And I highly encourage you to visit the World of Motorcycle Museum. They're in Winamac, Indiana, 4 miles south of North Judson on Highway 39. Give them a call first at 574-896-3172. It's a great trip and a great collection of motorcycles.